Has been met with protests, scuffles and a series of arrests. Anti-war demonstrators in Dublin attempted to break through police cordons. Eggs and shoes were also thrown at the former Prime Minister. Mr Blair escaped unscathed despite one woman attempting to conduct a citizen's arrest. Well, Sky's David Blevins is in Dublin, and David, Tony Blair not getting quite as warm a welcome as he might have hoped from the Irish.
Indeed so, Jane, and very different to the welcome most people receive here in Dublin. But then it's not every day that a former minister turns up on the streets of the Irish capital. Anti-war demonstrators simply could not believe that the city's historic O'Connell Street had been sealed off to accommodate Tony Blair. He managed to avoid their makeshift missile, escaped the wrath of one very determined protester. She got a signed copy of his book, which she plans to burn, and he got more than he bargained for. If he'd come to Ireland to shift the focus from war to peace, he failed. Anti-war protesters clashed with police as Tony Blair arrived at a city centre bookstore.
I think he has to be held to account for the dead people in Iraq and for the lies that he told that justified the war that killed those people.
Angry scenes outside explained stringent security inside, but one protester managed to breach the cordon. She got dangerously close to the former Prime Minister before attempting to make a citizen's arrest.
Well, as soon as I got up there and I met, he was running right in front of me, I said, "Mr Tony Blair, I'm here to make a citizen's arrest you for war crimes." I didn't get to say very much else because I was immediately grabbed by 5 security men and dragged away. I cried out, "There's at least 500,000 dead in Iraq. You broken the 4th Geneva Convention, that means you were a war criminal." And that was all I got to say to him. They wouldn't even stop. I couldn't resist because there's 5 people there, you know.
The scuffles will not have surprised Tony Blair, according to one of his former ministers.
Of course I regret the fact that protesters are there today throwing eggs and missiles at him. It's very unfortunate, but I think Tony would also be the first person to say that he understands why they're there and he understands why they're protesting.
He spent 90 minutes, much longer than expected, signing countless copies of his controversial memoirs. The fact that there's an orderly queue of people on one side of the building to meet Mr Blair and a disorderly protest on the other vividly reflects his legacy. Commended on one hand for securing peace in Northern Ireland, but condemned in equal measure for declaring war in Iraq. So Tony Blair has hit the road. The book tour is officially underway. If security here was any indication of public sentiment, it could be quite the journey. In an interview with Ireland's state broadcaster RTE, Tony Blair said Northern Ireland was very important to him and he was very proud of what had been accomplished there. But despite his best efforts, it is the war and not the peace that is dominating the headlines today. And I suspect that will continue to be the case when he makes his next public appearance. That's in London on Wednesday. And following that breach of security today, there's got to be all sorts of concerns among his security team. Katie O'Sullivan says she wasn't the only person to vent her frustration. And tonight, police in the Irish Republic have charged 4 men, 2 in their late teens and 2 in their mid-30s, with public order offences that are expected to appear in court later this month, Jane.
David Blevins there on the banks of the Liffey. Thanks very much.